Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li waziran min ahli Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri واشركوا في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. Inshallah, we will continue our discussion from the 31st word, which is discussing the ascension of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and how we can also benefit from his example to make our own personal individual ascension. And the author added a slight discussion on the miracle of the splitting of the moon as an addendum to this section, as it relates to our realizing that, yes, how the importance of messengership and the fact that how the prophetic ascension actually needs to be paid attention to, so that we, as the ones who are learning from the prophet, right, we also can benefit and see the signs in the universe, and by our witnessing experience the sort of ascension in our own individual capacities. So the author, we discussed these two verses, and the hour is near and the moon is split, but if they see a sign, they turn away and say this is evident magic. So where the miracle of the splitting of the moon was presented to a certain group of people to whom the Prophet, peace and blessing upon him, was conveying the message, and they denied it and said this is evident magic. Right. So we are going to discuss now this third point, which I think gets into the heart of the matter, that why are miracles indeed there, what they are meant for. So I'll start reading. Miracles are for proving claims to prophethood. So proving claims to prophethood and for convincing those who deny those claims. So they are not for compelling people to believe. This was pretty solid and significant for me, that the miracles are not used to compel anyone to believe, basically. So it's not used as a means, but it's to basically confirm the prophethood of Muhammad or any other prophet as well. But in this case, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. So therefore, miracles have to be manifested to those who hear claims to prophethood at a degree that will persuade them. So those who are the first witnessing firsthand, to those who hear claims to prophethood at a degree that will persuade them. So the people during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. So for them to make sense that, yes, this whoever is giving this message is indeed employed by the Lord of the universe. And we also discussed that the term bi-iznillah, all the miracles are happening with the permission by that it's actually the agent behind them. It's not any of the prophets, but it's God Almighty, who is the Lord of the universe, the one who is creating, as we see in the universe, everything. So just as it would be contrary to the all-wise and glorious one's wisdom to display them all over the world, so display the miracles all over the world. So it would be contrary to the wisdom of the Almighty One to display them all over the world, because, or in so self-evident a manner that it would be compelled, that all would be compelled to believe. So then the whole universe being an education tool system, and the author will touch upon the accountability, so we'll continue on that. So would it also be contrary to the mystery of man's accountability? Right? So man somehow he calls this the mystery of man's accountability. So one can realize all the tools that one has, everything that is given in terms of our abilities to choose, which is called the free will of a human being. Why is it there? There's definitely wisdom behind it that we are given the eyes, the ears, also the basic five senses, and then the feelings, the intellect, memory, right? Emotions, so you name it, many different tools, senses as well that are given. Why we can ask, why are they given for? What are the purpose of them being given to us? Right, so there's definitely this concept of, yeah, so they definitely, whoever gave them, they need to be used for the right reasons. And of course, there's the accountability part. Right, so if you go for a job and then you sign basically a contract with them that, yeah, you're going to be working with them for whatever the product that they assign you to. Right, so that you are held accountable that basically you are within the confines of that order, and whatever you do is basically everything. You probably have a yearly review or bi-weekly or sometimes 3 or 4 times a year kind of review to check basically if everyone is going on the right path in a way in the company. So there's the accountability in many things that we are witnessing in our living, in the human-made rules as well. So of course, all these existential things that we are here, our existence is given, there must be a reason as well. So the accountability aspect must be there as well. For this, accountability requires opening the door to reason and having the power of choice. I mean, and not removing the power of choice. Basically, we are given the power of choice, and we are also given reason, right? So there, it allows us to use reason and exercise the power of choice. So we have to, whatever we do make choices in our lives. So there's a consequence to those choices. If the all-wise creator had left the moon split for 1 or 2 hours in order to show it to the whole world, as the philosophers wished, and it had been recorded in all general histories of man, so if this miracle was recorded and everybody witnessed it, and then it would have been like all other occurrences in the heavens and world, not have been an evidence to Muhammad's peace and blessings be upon him claim to prophethood. So if it was recorded, then everybody would have known, and I think if we will lose human beings, there's no reason for accountability. Everybody would come to believe in a way, right? So nor being special to his messengership, so it would have lost his evidence of prophethood, which is one of the aspects of what miracles are supposed to represent, right? So that we kind of discussed that whatever the Lord of the universe wished, so the prophets are not able to create anything. They're just like created human beings. But they may request and pray for something and then to their Lord, and the Lord is the one who is the agent behind all the things that every prophet that has been doing, including the prophet Jesus with all his numerous miracles that is popular in the civilization. Of course, he never claimed that he was doing it as well. He would say, my Lord, my God, my Lord is the one who is doing it. Or else it would have been such a self-evident miracle that it would have negated the power of choice, a part of man's reason. So if this was recorded in histories, it would have negated the power that what the free will or power of choice is given to man, and including man's reasoning, compelling reason to accept it willy-nilly. So just basically based on the being in general histories, which is kind of how, I guess, the Christian tradition kind of just accepts it willy-nilly in a way, never reasoning about it or never wondering, questioning. And then the Quran's message keeps asking us to reason, think about it, ponder over it. Yatafakkarun, right? It has many different encouragements for us to use our reasoning. It would have had to assent to his prophethood. The miracle would have had to assent to his prophethood. Someone with a coal-like spirit like Abu Jahl would have remained at the same level as someone with a diamond-like spirit like Abu Bakr the Voracious. The mystery of man's accountability would have been lost. It was due to this mystery that being both instantaneous and at nighttime. So there's wisdom in this being both instantaneous and at nighttime, and at a time of sleep and time differences, mist and cloud and other obstacles concealing it, it was not shown to the whole world and did not pass into the histories. So if the argument is made like if this miracle was really happened, then it should have been recorded in history books as well. The author is making the case here that let's think about it, because we human beings have the reasoning and accountability that we're liable for to our tools and senses. Then everybody would have accepted it if it's recorded and willy-nilly we accept it basically without any evidence or so. So any comments on this third point? Fariha, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for emphasizing on the important points here and also connecting it with the second point of what we discussed last week. For me, the main takeaway was who's the agent behind anything that I experienced. So in this case, we're talking about the miracles of the prophet. So like you emphasized that even the prophets were claiming, hey, I'm not the agent behind that which is being displayed. So that's important. And it was interesting. I mean, everything was very nicely clear in this third point, but I just wonder about something. This usage of the word mystery. So if you look into the middle of the paragraph and you were reading in terms of, hey, so would it be contrary to the mystery of man's accountability? Like if everything was just so obvious. So the accountability part, I understand. It's otherwise like, what's the point of being here in this universe? It's like a student being in a classroom. Like, why do I even have to be there if I'm not even being given any kind of assessment to assess my learning? So I understand the accountability part. Mashallah, you made it very clear with the example of an employer checking in on the status of their employees, so either weekly, monthly, yearly, and so on, just to make sure that everybody is up to par with the contract that they signed, or pretty much people are in line with their responsibilities. So here's a question. What is the meaning behind the usage of this word mystery? And I see it a little bit as well later on, because the way, if I'm following through the text, it would make sense. Like, otherwise, if everything is very obvious to me, then, I won't even have any purpose of existence here, right? So what do you think? Just any idea where you think the word mystery points to? And it's also mentioned a little bit at the end where you highlighted. Thanks.
Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Somebody else wanted to speak as well. I would like to give the priority to very high hand. Okay. She has already asked question. Yeah. Now, what I understand from this mystery, what this accountability reality infers to, necessitates. What does it necessitate? What does it infer? I am accountable. Okay, for what? That is the mystery means. Think about behind the reason behind the authority that you are given. think about it. Don't say that I am authorized to finish. No, why are you authorized? That's what I understand from the word mystery. Mystery doesn't mean that you cannot understand in this sense. It is beyond your capacity. I don't understand it in this way, and there is no reason why should I understand in that way.
So it's pretty much the situation I find myself in, existing in this universe, which we really call, I see here a lot of scholars saying, the human condition, trying to figure out what are all these experiences, what do they point to the meaning behind it. So that's the mystery here. I mean, it's a beautiful usage of the word, it catches people's attention. So in other words, it would be contrary to the purpose or the mystery of man's accountability. Okay, well, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on this piece, on this third point?
Another point, yes. So that verse, and the moon is split. I think last time and I was thinking about it, we emphasized, do I really have to believe that, for example, the moon was split? Like, literally speaking. I mean, that's not the point of the miracles being mentioned. I think the point is, and again, even within this whole thing, do I really have to believe that any of these miracles, like happen, either the splitting of the moon or the fingers through which, like, people were able to, people's thirst was satiated. It doesn't matter. I think the point here is, what am I attributing everything to, or am I able to see the agent behind anything that I observe, right? So that would be the gist of the matter here, where you emphasize that, like, what is the agent behind anything? So do I really have to believe that, okay, somebody put their finger out there and the moon was split? That's not the point. The point is, what is the agent behind any of the miracles or qualities or manifestations that I observe? Because it was interesting how the author also starts off with, they're not for compelling people to believe, like the miracles were not there for that, because like the questioning piece, we can all just do it. What is the source of existence of this plant that I observe in creation? What is the source of existence of anything in creation? So if I'm able to attribute it to an absolute source of existence, okay, but then the point here is happening is, what do I do with this now? What do I do with this reasoning or this understanding or the belief? If I have some sort of belief in terms of, okay, the universe must have an absolute source of existence. Okay, what do I do with it now? And that's where the mystery of man's accountability lie. And that's, I think that's where I think all of us need to be zooming in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, basically. So let's say the scientist shows me something, and this is, okay, I show you this particular tool that is working right now. So you have to listen to me, pay attention to me, basically. I'm like the spokesperson now, or the one who has to say in many of the things. That's how kind of the way scientific community portrays itself, by creating all sorts of different technologies, devices, and researches that they are doing, and then they kind of hold the power to sway people's minds in a way. Brother Ali, go ahead.
First of all, we need to remember that belief, this is very important, not only for this subject, for the subject related to the prophetic narrations in the Quran as well. It is a serious matter for the Muslims concern. They say, do I have to believe that those prophets really existed in the world or not? First of all, we have to understand belief is based on conviction, which is based on evidence. And this evidence must be observable, accessible for me, and within my living conditions. That is why that is what belief is called. To believe in the news, narration. For example, somebody said to me that the population of, I don't know, Chicago is 4 million. Do you believe that? No, yes, it is not what the Quran means by belief. What am I going to do with it? Belief in the Quran is yu'minuna bil ghaib. Ghaib. It means seeing the physical evidence and coming or reaching the conclusion that this physical evidence demonstrates that it must have a source of existence because it cannot happen by itself. Well, what do I mean by it? Looking at the computer, I believe this computer must have a conscious maker, computer engineer. That is called belief within the conditions of this world. Because as far as my relationship between me and the computer is concerned, I am confirming the existence of an engineer, which has completely different level of existence as a result of my physical experience of the computer. That's what we have to understand and feel comfortable. What? Somebody narrates me something. Do you believe in it? This is the secularist understanding or dictionary understanding of belief. It is not Quran's way of presenting belief. Is. So let's come to this sensitive point. Sensitive, I'm saying, I'm aware of it, how sensitive it is. Whether exactly a moon happened as it is narrated to me. It's a news. But what my concern is whether this news has a physical evidence for me that this kind of events may be possible to exist. What I look at now, look at the moon, look at the sun, look at anything around me in the world, I understand that these things are not existing by themselves. They need a source of existence completely different from their own nature. So I believe if the creator source of existence of the moon does want to create the moon or not to create the moon, I believe is possible, depending on the will of the creator. Because I believe that moon needs a source of existence which must have absolute power to control the situation of the moon. So I believe that the moon can always be split regardless of once in a time of the prophet or not. That is possible for me, but possible means depending on the creator's will, if he wills, he can do it. Why not? But for example, I am seeing, let's say, the simple example, a tree now. Tree doesn't have to be as it is. But because the source of existence of the tree must have preferred it to be as it is. And I believe that the creator of the source of existence of the tree could have chosen another way. There are other different kinds of trees, and could have not created it, because the source of existence must have a free will to choose to give existence within a certain shape and quality to the tree. Otherwise, tree cannot have these qualities by itself. That is my observation based on conviction, which is called belief in Ghaib. Ghaib, the creator, and his absolute qualities must have. Otherwise, tree cannot exist within the context of the universe. Now, even other narrations, why do we keep bothering about whether this news really happened? None of my business. It is always possible according to my belief. So if it is narrated through trustful people, I say, why not? Why not? Well, it could have happened anyways. It could have happened now as well. That's it. Why not? So this is a different matter, confirming the news and possibility of this event, which can happen anytime. That time might have happened as well. Is completely different from two matters. I am not responsible about confirming the news. I am responsible about my belief in the source of existence. So the Quran says about the narrations starting from the Prophet Adam, and says, prophet, they are prophets. I have sent them. And we can read in that, the Quran gives me the examples through these examples. And he says, there was a person, Abraham, who did this, his father was this. I don't bother about it. But what I bother, look at the message there, whether I can confirm this message or not, what I learned from it, whether this event took place, such and such place on the earth, within such and such, on such and such days or date, none of my business. Even the source doesn't give the details. For example, here we are studying when shaqqal qamar. All right. And some people didn't believe it. Who are they? None of my business. None of my business. Is it possible that the moon can be split with the desire, as Asim presented the subject by emphasizing on this? This depends on not Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasalam. It depends on the creator. Creator, Muhammad didn't say, I did it, alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, the creator did it. So simple. He's the creator, source of existence of the moon. Can do it? Definitely do it. Why? There are other things created by him, by the same source, with these qualities. They are destroyed. Here I am. My life is given to me by this creator, and it is going to be taken away by this creator. I believe I will be given death one day. If my creator wants it, decides to take it away from me. That is belief. When I am going to die, really I am going to die? None of my business. Why do I concern about this kind of questions? Since it is said there is the person who's called Abraham, and that's it. That's it. Oh, okay, why do you tell me about this? I take notice of what the news is. So what we are learning here, the moon is split. Do you believe? Yes, I believe. During the particular time of the life of the Prophet, none of my business. So if really I hear the news, I said, oh, it is not wonder, no wonder. It is always possible for my belief that it could have happened. Why should I say, no, it didn't happen? But it could have happened anyways. That is what I understand from belief. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
but
was very helpful. This is very helpful. So pretty much the whole point is, as long as I know that the creator of the universe must employ a messenger for humanity to make use of their human qualities and this universe to fulfill the purpose of their existence, then I guess that's the whole point of belief as well, because like you were mentioning, I'm not responsible for confirming those miracles, but at the end of the day, I'm utilizing whatever I make out of my belief to, pretty much being convinced of what I observe in this physical existence, and then it must have happened, but based on like how I'm concluding also my experiences.
yeah, concluding your experience is correct. All right, any other thoughts or questions or comments? So I think we're good with this third point. So belief, as Brother Ali kind of emphasized on the alimul ghaib, the fact that everything is being created by the Lord of the universe. So if I can see disasters or something else, volcano eruptions, then why not the splitting of the moon in a way? Because everything is, I already have this observation and realization that, yeah, things are not happening by themselves. There must be an agent, a source of existence behind them. So he can definitely, is possible, basically.
True, because the way I see miracles now is also based on one's own perception of how they view the universe, like you're saying. Anything that we're observing, if we can connect creation to its creator, then hey, we may even just boil water. That can be a miracle. Like how did like suddenly room temperature water just with this phenomenon or act of law of heating, suddenly how did this happen? So yeah, that can be one's miracle as well, experienced.
Sure, thank you. Yeah. So this phrase, so the miracles in a way help to basically the messengership or the prophethood in a way. So every prophet who comes with different miracles, and that makes his case as a prophet, that he is not acting by himself, but he is supported and employed by whatever is the message he's bringing, whoever's message he's carrying. So there's a direct relationship to miracles and prophethood. Like these creations of extraordinary events. Does that make sense? Yep.
Mhm. Oh, say that again. What does it mean?
So I said it makes the miracles basically makes the case for prophethood, that this individual through which this miracle that I'm witnessing is indeed employed as a prophet of God.
Mhm. For sure, yes.
All right. Any other thoughts? We'll move to the fourth point. Okay. Since this event occurred instantaneously at night, while everyone was sleeping, of course, it was not seen all over the world. Even if some people had seen it, they would have not have believed their eyes. And even if it had been, and even if it had made them believe, such a significant event would not have become a permanent source for future histories through isolated individual reports. In some books, it is written that after the moon split into two halves, it fell to earth. So those two halves fell to earth, but voracious scholars have rejected such additions, saying that they were perhaps added by dissemblers who, with the intention of reducing to nothing the value of this evident miracle. And for example, just as the same time in England and Spain, which were then enveloped in mists of ignorance, would have been just after sunset in America daytime and in China and Japan morning. So too in other places there would have been other obstacles preventing the splitting of the moon from being seen. Now consider these unreasoning objectors who say that the histories of peoples like the English, Chinese, Japanese, and Americans do not mention this miracle, and that therefore it did not occur. 1,000 curses are on the heads of those who are toady to European philosophies and repeat such things. So people who are looking for the histories of the world history, I would say English, Chinese, Japanese, American, whatever history, that why is it not recorded? This particular miraculous event in the history. For example, they will say maybe the Moses' miracle is recorded in history books, but it comes from the Torah, Judaic, or the Old Testament kind of narrations. So what do we really make out of this particular point? What is the author really telling us here in this fourth point about the future histories and mentioning of this? And would that really reduce basically to nothing the value of this miracle? Because the miracle was actually only for the few people who were present, right? It was not meant for each and every other individual, other people. So at our time, we have not witnessed it. So for us, of course, as we've been discussing, it's to realize who the agent, who's the actual miracle bearer, who's the owner of those things that we are witnessing in terms of creation.
Interesting point actually that you mentioned, like why hasn't it been mentioned, and like why should it be mentioned? I was thinking about it because again, like you were saying, that the miracles were for contemporaries who were present, and at the same time it's recorded because whoever is interested in making sense of their existence, if you deem someone to be a messenger of God, then I guess you have to know in terms of, how, like, I don't know, what's the message he brought. And so these miracles are sort of linked with helping us see the source of existence behind anything. I mean, that's how I would see it as. And so I was wondering, should I think that should be mentioned, but like, who would care about it? Like the rest of the world, in terms of they'll be like, oh yeah, well, fine, the sun rises, here on the other side of the world. Okay, the sun is setting right now. Like, I think it would make sense only if one is in wonderment about like the act of creation happening, even the rising of the sun. Like, how do you explain this phenomenon? It's just not something out of the ordinary, if you will. It's a miraculous act if really we start pondering over it.
Indeed, every creation, as he said, the rotation of the sun, the plants, the birds, our own existence. All right, any other thoughts or comments, anything we should speak on? So I underlined the word isolated individual reports, which is what this miracle is kind of falls into. Right, the splitting of the moon. So I don't know what this expectation is for basically being referenced in future histories. Because that's not the point really of the miracle, actually. So as we were saying, the miracle is more of, for us at least, it's more to understand who the source of existence of everything is. All right, should we move on then? All right. Fifth point. The splitting of the moon happened neither of its own accord in consequence of certain causes, nor as a result of chance. Right, it's not a chance, certain causes, nor was it a natural event that occurred through the ordinary laws of nature. So it's something extraordinary. Rather, the all-wise creator of the sun and the moon caused it to happen as something out of the ordinary in order to confirm his messenger's messengership. I think that's the point of the miracle, and to illuminate his claim. As the mystery of guidance, the mystery of human accountability, for your favorite word mystery again here, mystery of guidance, the mystery of human accountability, and the wisdom of messengership required. It was demonstrated as a convincing proof to certain people, specified by dominical wisdom. The mystery of wisdom required that it was not shown to people in every region of the world. The mystery of wisdom required that it was not shown to people in every region of the world who had not yet heard of Muhammad's peace and blessings be upon him claim to prophethood. Yeah, so what are they going to make out of this miracle, right? If they haven't not even heard the message or that there's a messenger of God who is bringing news from the creator of the universe. Numerous obstacles prevented them, therefore, such as mist, cloud, and time differences, and the fact that in some countries the moon had not risen, and in some others the sun had risen, while in others it was morning, and in yet others the sun had just set. Yeah, so the time of the day during where the event took place and the other places are all different scenarios, or so we have different situations, obstacles that prevented this event to be seen. So it was very specific in a way. And the only purpose was to confirm his messengership or prophethood of the prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. If it had been shown, the miracle had been shown to all and sundry, it would have been shown as a result of the sign of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and a miracle of prophethood. So it would have been shown as a result of the sign of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and a miracle of prophethood, in which case his messengership would have been so manifest that everyone would have been compelled to affirm it. So no choice would have remained for the human reasoning, and belief is attained through man's power of choice and his reason. I think this is a key phrase, which is very important to realize, that belief is attained through man's power of choice and his reason. The mystery of human accountability would have gone for nothing. And if it had been shown merely as an occurrence in the heavens, its connection with Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him's messengership would have been severed, and it would have retained no peculiarity to him. Right. Yeah, so then I think it's pretty clear. If anybody has any comments on this fifth point or anything they want to add or share, please do share with us. So basically, it was so well known and everybody, so again, it touches upon the human accountability and the need for guidance and the messengership of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. So there would really be no need actually to benefit from his messengership. Brother Ali, go ahead.
This helps us understand that sorry. Now, believing in the miracles and no, sorry, the sentence was wrong. Believe in the message because we believe in the miracle is not believing the message itself. Because of the miracles. Now, because of the miracles, yeah, I see what this man did is impossible. So he says, you have to understand this universe has a creator. Yeah, I believe because he's a magical man or extraordinary man. Is it a belief that I believe in the creator? I believe in God? Just because somebody said so? So extraordinary man?
No.
So we understand miracles itself cannot be a reason to believe what the message that the person brings is. No, we have to study the message. So what is the nature of miracles? We discussed this matter on many occasions, but this text also confirms it. It says, belief is attained through man's power of choice and his reason. Not because he saw the miracle. That is why the Christianity is failed in this sense. They believe in Jesus because of his miracles. And also his miraculous birth. But how about the content of the message he brought to you? Have you seen every Muaviye, Sir H, Bezaferi, Hafara, Asam? All of us live here in America. Have you seen anybody who believes what Jesus' message tells them? Oh, narration, news. He did this, he was somewhere, he said this, but no base for their belief in God and hereafter. If there is any hereafter or not, they don't care. And angels or everything is directly under the control of the Creator. They have no idea. It means if we pay attention to the miracle itself, miraculous narration itself, and insist that this narration definitely happened. If you don't believe, then you don't believe in the prophethood. Has no reality at all. And it is not the point at all. That's what we have to be comfortable, because when I was with the students, young students, they used to they used to ask me a lot, how can we confirm that Moses really presented miracles? I don't know. No one knows. History has no evidence. How can I confirm that Adam in paradise followed the offer or whispering of Satan? I don't know. He took in the paradise. I don't know. How can I do it? How can I confirm it? So I cannot believe in the Quran. Why? Because I cannot confirm it. There is no evidence. Just because it is narrated and told me, I don't know. There is nothing. So many young people are struggling in confirming the message of the Quran just because they confuse the news of an event rather than the content of the news. Exactly like understanding the hadith narrations. Rather than the content of the message in the hadith narration, we spent our time whether it's authentic or not. What are you going to do with it's authentic or not? Okay, let's say some people say authentic. Would you be able to confirm the news you received in the content of the hadith? Are you really sure that that is really true? Or, that must be true because the narration is authentic. There is a fundamental difference in attitude. We have to be very careful. So especially about understanding and confirming or benefiting from the message of the Quran, we should not confuse with the news of the narration of the event rather than what the event is teaching me, whether it is really confirmable or not. Exactly the same way. Narration of the split of the moon, whether it is confirmable or not. How about it took place? That is another matter. It must be, in general, we discussed a lot that the prophets must have been given miracles in one way or another, but it is related to their time and the people at that time. It is not related to me at all. My responsibility is study the content and see whether really the creator of the moon, source of existence of the moon, can split it or not splitting, completely destroy it or not. Possible or not? 100% I am sure. That is the point. Thank you. This separation is extremely important. We have to be careful, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum.
Inshallah, thank you. So the content of the news is what we need to pay attention to, rather than the news itself.
It's interesting though. Now I'm thinking a little bit about the content piece. As far as the splitting of the moon is concerned, it becomes easy to investigate the content because you're like, okay, here I am in the universe. There's the moon. I noticed several phases of it. It comes out, sometimes it's hiding behind a cloud. So like then you start questioning every act of creation in your relation to the moon. Okay, so that's how I'm understanding the content piece. So we can take this to any miracle, I would say, whatever it is, like whatever things of this universe or creation is involved, and I sort of related to my relationship or interaction with, and from there, say if I do notice, for example, that nothing of this universe has the quality to rise the sun or to bring moonlight into existence, for example, then I think that nothing of this universe also caused that splitting of the moon. Hence, the agent behind what I observe here must be an absolute source of existence. Hence, the agent behind the miracle mentioned about the splitting of the moon must also be the absolute source of existence. And the prophets were just employed for us to take them seriously as messenger of God. And that was an interesting point also, like a person is presenting a miracle, or I'm hearing now about it, but like, so now what do I do with it? Does it do anything to my beliefs? No, it should really urge me to seek out what exactly is this messenger delivering on behalf of the creator of the universe.
Right, the alim al-ghaib, what belief matters is it bringing me news about. So not the literal meaning sometimes in just events that are narrated, like in the news that we get. That's what I took away from your comment. Okay, any other thoughts? So
Yeah, it's I'm sorry. I think it's a good point that you highlighted that phrase, and then Brotherly went over it as well. And belief is attained through man's power of choice and his reason. That's the human journey here. Power of choice. We're exercising it. And reason, just reasoning with every encounter that we experience. Alhamdulillah.
yeah, I don't know if your experience, but generally the general population doesn't want to reason in terms of for belief matters.
Oh, trust me, I've experienced that
They
recently.
run away from any sort of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter wherever you are. I remember I shared with you a little conversation with someone. They're like, "Oh, please don't reason." I mean, it's not even. I was just speaking with someone, and they're like, "Why are you even reasoning? This doesn't even require reasoning." So, because I was bringing up the existential questions, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have those questions. You know, don't even reason, don't even bother." I was like, "Okay," but yeah, I think it's an important factor to emphasize. Human beings are where we reason, right? Without reasoning, there's nothing we can attain.
Right, thank you. Okay, so to conclude, there is no longer any doubt concerning the possibility that the splitting of the moon occurred. It has been proved decisively, and now we shall mention 6 of the many pieces of evidence pointing to its occurrence. That is to say, there are 6 proofs concerning the event in the form of a 6-fold consensus. So consensus, many people are agreeing to it. Unfortunately, the explanation of them is brief, although they deserve more. So their agreement in expounding the verse "and the moon is split" of all exacting commentators on the Quran. So the concurrence of the companions of the Prophet, so they all agreed, who were all men of justice, on the occurrence of the splitting of the moon. Their agreement in expounding the verse "and the moon is split" of all exacting commentators on the Quran. So there are some serious commentators on the Quran that interpreted this verse. We saw it last time as well, different interpretations in the translations. And a few got it as a miracle, the moon being split. The fact that relying on numerous different chains of authorities and lines of transmission, all the scholars of the prophetic hadiths and transmitters of the sound narrations narrated the event. the testimony of all the saints and the veracious, those who receive inspiration and uncover the mysteries of the creation. They also agree to this. The confirmation of learned scholars and theologians whose ways differ greatly from one another. The fact that the community of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, accepted its occurrence, which on an established principle never agrees upon error. The reference gives some reference to Suyuti and Mutanaqid, so some reference to some works. The community of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, accepted an occurrence which on established principle never agrees upon error. Basically, they accepted it unanimously in a way. So these 6 pieces of evidence prove the splitting of the moon as clearly as the sun. All right, we are at time, but I think we can conclude this with the conclusion of this section, which is just whatever we kind of discussed so far in terms of how the ascension and the author bringing this splitting of the moon as part of it as an addendum to highlight why the need of the prophethood is, what is the seal or the office of prophethood. So up to here, this addendum has been in the name of establishing the truth and for the sake of silencing those enemies who deny it, who deny the splitting of the moon. Its concluding sentences will now be in the name of the truth and for the sake of belief. Indeed, establishing the truth spoke as above, now the truth speaks. So trying to establish the truth which the author has been making for us to start reasoning and wondering with the points. And now the truth speaks. The seal of the office of prophethood, who was the luminous moon of its heaven, proved his sainthood through his ascension. So proved his sainthood through his ascension. This was the greatest wonder and supreme miracle of sainthood achieved through his worship, which was so elevated as to make him God's beloved. That is to say, by traveling with his earthly body through the heavens, his superiority and his being God's beloved were demonstrated to the dwellers of the heavens and inhabitants of the lofty worlds. So too, through the moon, which is bound to the earth and suspended in the heavens, being split into 2 halves at the sign of an inhabitant of the earth, a miracle indicating to that earth dweller's messengership, was displayed to the other inhabitants of the earth. Thus the person of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, flew to the very summit of perfections on the 2 luminous wings of messengership and sainthood. Like the 2 luminous unfolded wings of the moon, he ascended to the distance of 2 bow lengths. He became the cause of pride of both the inhabitants of the heavens and the inhabitants of the earth. Upon him and upon his family be blessings and peace, such as will fill the earth and the heavens. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are all-knowing, all-wise. Which is a verse from the Quran. O God, for the sake of the one at whose sign the moon split, make my heart and the hearts of all true students of the risale-i like the moon in the face of the sun of the Quran. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. All right, so this was the conclusion. Any comments on this? Conclusion, anything anybody wants to highlight, short, briefly? So it's an interesting topic for me to understand and go through the ascension part and learn many of the principles, and especially that miracles are not to convince one for in terms of belief matters. Right, so, and it was necessary at that time. Farah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to point out this sentence in the conclusion where it says, if you scroll a little bit down, that's it. It says, so, yeah, being split into two halves are the sign of an inhabitant of the earth, right? So far, the discussion that we've had today has, as you were mentioning, establishes that a miracle is a confirmation of what has been demonstrated in the message brought by the messenger. So all the process of confirmation, of assessing the validity of a miracle or necessity of the miracle are to be done by assessing the message. And the miracle, the witnessing of the miracle in this case, and for us through the reports, the 6 different ways that they were confirmed, only confirms that which the message already brings. And I think that's correct so far from our discussion today. What I was also just reflecting on in this idea of that it's being split into two halves at the sign of an inhabitant. So just trying to understand the role of the messenger in this moment again. I mean, we can understand that the messenger is given the agency to indicate, but the cause of splitting is obviously resting with the one who can, perform that miracle in the first place, which is God. So I'm just curious how you're also understanding. This is a very simple way to put it. I don't know if there are other ways to expand on this, but how are we actually understanding what the role of the prophet is in this moment of this point about like at the sign of an inhabitant of the earth? I can understand this very simply as he's following the command of the creator, and the cause is brought about by the creator himself. Is there anything else that may come to your mind or anybody's?
All right, it's an open question. If anybody wants to go ahead, Brother Ali.
This is a long, we have to talk about it for another hour. And we may next week, combining these two sides. The prophets, the prophet is approved, as the text says, by the inhabitants of the earth, others should be approved, and also through the ascension, the miracle of ascension is to demonstrate that prophet's message can be approved by the conscious beings of the universe in the heavens and conscious beings of the earth, which are the human beings. We are. So both of them are represented here in the by splitting the moon into two, and also related to prophets being the, what was the word, messengership and sainthood. Two aspects of it, sainthood and messenger. As far as we are concerned, what does it mean, sainthood? And how can I benefit from prophet's quality of being a saint? And how can I benefit and relate to my life the prophet's Muhammad ﷺ's messengership to my personal life? It's a large discussion. I don't mind talking about it, but at the same time, the time is already 10, 12 minutes.
We can make a note for next time, inshallah.
We can talk about it if everybody agrees.
I'm wonderfully happy with that. Yes, inshallah. Let's do that.
Same
So
here.
so you can take Asim to remind us what is the relationship here. Fruit is no. The second paragraph in conclusion. The seal, the seal of the prophethood, who was the luminous moon of its heaven, luminous moon of its heaven, proved his sainthood through his ascension, was the greatest wonder, and the supreme miracle of sainthood achieved through the worship, which was the elevated as to make him God's beloved. That is to say, by traveling his earthly body through the heavens. These are very heavy loaded, meaning loaded expressions. But just, it seems to be, what does it mean? Traveling with his earthly body through the heavens. Sorry?
No, it's good. Please go ahead.
Yeah, his superiority and his being God's beloved were demonstrated to the dwellers of the heavens and inhabitants of the lofty worlds. Lots of subjects are mentioned here. Through the moon, which is bound to the earth and suspended in the heavens, being split into two halves at the sign of an inhabitant of the earth, a miracle indicating that the earth's dwellers' messengership, a man from the earth, was displayed to the other inhabitants of the earth. Thus, the person of Muhammad, the very summit of perfection on the two luminous wings of messengership and sainthood, and related to distance of two bow lengths. I mean, this is the summary of what we have been doing from the beginning of the 31st word. Everything is covered here. I don't know whether we have to read the 31st word from the beginning again, or we just say, okay, whatever we understood so far, alhamdulillah. Which one do you prefer? I mean, we cannot cover all of them, which Farah's question really includes all this.
I will go back and read it.
I don't know how you would like to do that. So we can generally speak about it if you like, or that is what we understood so far, whether we benefit or not benefited or what, as much as our capacity, whatever we receive it from this studying Ascension, Miraj, miracle, that is up to you. Shall we have it one about it? I mean, let's say, okay, whatever you understood, we understood from this reading of the 31st word altogether. That's what we understood, because most of them were discussed in details during studying the text. So maybe if someone really wonders, they can go through the records, video recordings. But I'm not sure. Whatever you prefer, but this will be just a general conclusion of what we have studied. So, to me, that's whatever we understood from it so far. Alhamdulillah. If not, go and listen to if someone wants. they can listen to the recordings from the Islam from Within website. To me, otherwise we will be just discussing it.
Maybe we can, yeah, narrow it down maybe why the seal of the office of prophethood is used here. Like seal means it's completed in a way with a stamp.
But not necessarily. We can talk about, these are big problems, big subjects, really. To my understanding, inshallah, let's close this session and also recording and talk about between ourselves. Now, no one should, I mean, I cannot force, but we shouldn't leave the room, talk about what to read next.
Okay, inshallah. Okay, so I'll conclude here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka anta al-alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati Surah al-Fatiha.